We've come into our third week of sharing together, and for this week, we're going to be honoring the direction of the west. And when we get into the west, we're getting into that third step in a progression, where we started with the east, and it was spring and those new beginnings. I'm talking about planting a seed and starting something fresh. And then last week, when we were bringing warmth and creativity and fire to it, we're into that third step, which is that maturation of an idea and the maturation of our practice and our progress. And for this week, we've brought you the balance oil again for our ritual. And then we've brought you lavender oil. And when Cheryl brings them to you today, she's going to give you one in each hand. You receive your balance in your left hand and receive your lavender in your right hand. Take a moment to take the aromatics of them independently. Nice cup inhale from one into the other. Today we're going to invite you to bring those together and rub your palms, keeping your fingers out. And I'm going to share with you in our oils education today some of the different sites on your body where you might apply those oils topically. Because those different sites can bring our mind to a different space. The oil absorption will be the same at any site on our body. It's going to take about 30 seconds for it to come through our skin. It's going to take about 20 to 30 minutes for the oils to move through our circulatory system to touch every single cell in our body. You want to start bringing those around? So when you're applying your oils, you'll have them on your palm and you'll have that aromatic opportunity. You can certainly do that cup inhale where you create the cup, mouth, your nose, breathe it in. When you do that, you are getting your brain focused on that brain messaging. You're giving that direct, immediate opportunity to breathe that in. When we breathe the aromatics of these plant tools, we receive brain messaging. It's beyond that's a lovely scent, or I recognize that. It becomes a memory trigger. I've smelled that. Often lavender brings us back to grandparents, sometimes grandmothers' gardens. You maybe travel to a beautiful space that had a lush garden. So the memory trigger happens, but there is something deeper where we're reaching the parasympathetic nervous system. And when I was learning about lavender today, lavender is particularly powerful in that way. Lavender is known for its calming properties. And lavender is known for its properties because topically it does soothe the skin. We can use it where we've had a cut or abrasion, an irritation like a bug bite or a rash. We'd be careful not to put the oil directly in a wound. If there's an opening in the skin, we put it only around so that you're bringing the antibacterial properties and the soothing, comforting properties of lavender to those skin cells. But even deeper than that, lavender gets us at that cognitive level. When you're taking the cup inhale, you are helping to shift your brain from that active fight or flight ignition to the rest and digest, the parasympathetic nervous system. You're doing with cup inhale 4 deep breaths is the oxygen volume you need, that your brain needs to complete that process. I'm just watching Cheryl bring the oils to the bottoms of her feet, and we've done that. We took our oils to our feet last week, our balance. And when we take our oils to our bottoms of our feet, that's where we're bringing the mind to grounding. And we're tangibly touching that space that connects with the earth and gives us our footing and our balance. So grounding, centering, being connected is something that you want to initiate or support for yourself. You'd bring your oils to your feet. We also talked about around the belly button last week and into your center. And when you use that around your belly button, so in that circular space. You're working on your boundaries and your definition of who you are, that very center and that connection that you had with your original creation. When we go up and down the midline of the belly, it's a whole different piece. That's where our self-esteem is connected, where what runs up and down, how do things move through us, that up and down in the front. And remember, we talked about the back as well. You can bring those oils back there. I'm reading from a wonderful book that I'm just starting into. It's called I Am Fabulous, which doesn't speak to the value of it. It's an essential oils resource that I have found that has blends for emotional well-being. And this is in her introduction. What I'm sharing with you is from her introduction, that when you're focusing in on a space that you want to bring your attention to, you can be very purposeful with your oils. The one that I think is one that I'm going to use tonight, and it's an interesting spot, is the crease of the elbows and the space from the elbow down to the wrist. I don't know if you've seen the movie Pretty Woman, and you know that the distance between your elbow and your wrist is the same as your heel to your toe. I remember learning that when I was very young. But that space has that parallel to our grounding, but it also brings the aromatics closer to my face, and I appreciate that. In the book here, she talks about the inside of the elbow crease is a connection with the lungs, and the heart channels run through the elbow crease. So when you're applied here, you're connecting to your heart. In Chinese medicine, it's a place for accessing or opening pathways to address sadness and grief. And so when you're doing that, you might open up a feeling of being lighter and bringing that energy to your heart center and your lungs, your breath of life. The inside of the wrist crease is more specifically to the chest and the lungs, and it's easily accessible for aromatics. So that's a space where it's kind of new for me for using oils. That's something that I've been learning. When you have your balance and your lavender oil today, know that you are grounded and that we're bringing our attention to the maturation of an idea and supporting that in a heart-centered way, where we let go of judgment and we celebrate all that we have and all that has come to life, and be open to the possibilities that are coming to us as we continue to create and evolve.
So as we come into our meditation space tonight and we continue honoring the directions and the elements, before I bring you to standing to do that, I also want to acknowledge that part of the reason we chose flower oils this week is because we're dealing with the water. And water, as far as a releasing, a purifying, a heart-centered place, a letting go. Our water represents our tears, it represents our shedding. It's interesting that I brought you into silence to be able to send some of the energy for the people in Toronto that are experiencing water energy today in a different kind of way as they go through their grief process. But those flowers help us. They help us calm when we're feeling emotional. They really soothe the heart. So lavender, it helped. Last week I remember people were like, why are you giving us ginger this time of night? I want to go to sleep. So it's the right time of, as we honor West, which means honoring autumn, it's also the time of day, it's honoring evening, and it is the time to be quiet. It is the time to soothe. It is the time to sedate. It is the time to relax. So I know we were giving you a bit of a shift to honor elements last week, but today we can really embrace the time of day. And the time of day is the evening and the quiet time. And that's our flowers, right? So they calm, they soothe, they support us in terms of our stress management. They deal with that parasympathetic response. So we really wanted to bring the flowers because it is such a nice blend to what is the belief around what water does. So too do the flowers do that for us when it comes to our essential oils. The other thing last week that Nancy and I realized about the elements as you're learning about your directions, and you brought up a really valid point about really understanding the directions as in our local areas, our native teachings, the cycle of life. And we're teaching about seasons and phases of life. But that idea of directions as we come into meditation and we be very present with the here and now, can also be used to just track a day. It doesn't have to be a whole lifetime or a whole season. The east is where the sun comes up. It's the morning. The noon fire energy is the hottest part of our day. It's the south. The west, our autumn, our fall, is our evening as the sun starts to go down. The north, which is winter, death, if you want to call it that, the shadow self, is the night. And so we can follow the directions just in the course of being present with our day, right? Sun rises, sun is blazing, sun is setting, sun is not here. And so as we honor being very present with our moment in the directions today, I would just ask you to use that, and I will guide you today without all the fluff of seasons, and we're just going to talk about taking in, what was my morning like? What was my noontime like? What was my evening like? What's my nighttime like? And that, from a meditative perspective, allows us to use those elements in a very controlled way. Okay? So I'm going to bring us through the honoring of our directions, as we always do, and then I'm sending you on a walk. All right? And for those of you that are watching us on a recording at home, we're on a timeline according to our app. So we'll be present with whatever nature gives us, connecting with nature experience that we want to have, right? What a beautiful sky. You guys have been looking at, I've been looking at your beautiful faces. What a beautiful sky. So we're coming to that mountain place. We're getting our feet into the sand, really connecting. Let that sand come right up over your feet so that you can take in the energy of the earth. Let yourself be strong. Check your alignment. Close your eyes. Bring yourself inside. Let your arms and hands be open. And just take a moment to purposefully, intentionally control your thoughts by coming back to your morning, by coming back to the east, by coming back to the sunrise. Purposefully, intentionally allowing the mind to wander ever so briefly into the past as we give thanks for the air and the wind as it touches our face. Deep breath in. Exhale with a big sigh. Move your awareness to the south as you shift your body in the sand. Again, checking in with your alignment, closing your eyes, really going inside, noticing as you connect with nature how the elements affect your body in the here and now. Hands and arms in that receptive space. Consciously, intentionally allow your mind to wander ever so slightly into the past, thinking about the noonday sun. How was your day today in the midst of the hurriedness of life? When your creativity, your passion, and your fire energy were at their full charge? As you bring those memories back into the mind's eye, give thanks for the heat of the day, the warmth of the sun, the direction of the south. Deep breath in. Exhale. Keep the sand and come around to the west. Again, aligning, digging in, feeling strong, arms and hands open, closing eyes. Is your present moment. This is your sunset. This is your here and now. Take all of it in as you connect with the perfection of Mother Nature. As you notice everything this day is bringing you right now, what you can hear, see, taste, smell, and touch. This is your moment. The mind does not need to wander. I'm particularly in this place of the West. Open your eyes and notice the water. Take your gaze to a spot in the horizon where you can see the ripples as they dance in the light of the setting sun. And just find gratitude in your heart for the West and for this perfect moment in time, this glorious time of day, this quiet, reflecting time as you come down. Deep breath in. Exhale. And shifting, coming round to the north. Remembering we use every week access to trees. It's full of beautiful trees. But right now you can feel that connection to the north through your feet as they are covered in sand. Notice how that feels. Notice the softness and the coolness of the sand on your feet. And in this space, I invite you to look ahead to what comes after class, to what is your nighttime, to what awaits you when you get home. Remembering that in meditation, you purposefully, intentionally control your thoughts. So you are dancing with the future for just a moment. And then you have the power, the capacity, the potential, and the gift to bring those thoughts back. So deep breath in, exhaling. As we honor the earth, we honor the north, and we honor the shadow self, the darkness, the quiet blackness of the sky that awaits us just an hour or so ahead. And with your eyes closed, noticing all of the gifts, wind, warmth, water, and finally the earth. Notice yourself sinking with your roots through your feet and extending energetically up through your crown and out the top of your head. Perfectly balanced between the energies of heaven and earth. Perfectly balanced in this moment in time. Connected to nature as you connect to yourself. And so I'm bringing you now to an opportunity to have a walk in silence as slowly as you can, to keep yourself fully immersed in your senses, to use all of your senses to stay present. What you feel, what you smell, what you taste, what you see, and what you hear. But particularly to embrace the cleansing, the purifying, the flushing, the soothing of the water, just as you did as you brought the essential oils of lavender into your being. So I'm going to give you about 9 minutes to have a little walk. For some of you that might feel long, and for others it might feel really short. And that's the beauty of meditation. Going back to our beginning teachings, it's simply to notice. When we're frustrated, we notice. Isn't that interesting? And we let it go. And today you can let it go with the water. So when we did the air and I said, let the clouds take the thoughts that don't serve you, today you can let the water flush that away. And I'll let you decide how close you want to be to the water, if you actually want your feet or your hands to be wet. I invite you to enjoy your walk. Halfway through, I'll ding the bells so that you know it's time to come back. And then I'll ding the bells again. There'll be time to sit down. Okay? Enjoy. And just settling in once more on your mat. Body winds down. Your eyes closed, just really taking stock of what this experience was like for you, for your body, your mind, your heart, and your soul. Taking stock of what you noticed with regard to your senses, the places that created a comforting focus and the places that were distracting. Just really taking this moment to reflect and fully experience so that you take your learning away, remembering that meditation is a practice. So noticing and answering, what did I see? What did I hear? What did I taste? What did I smell? What did I touch? And noticing that gift of the water. And with your eyes closed, before we come to our final sharing, I think we'll take this opportunity, given that we are not sure when the skies might open, to have our minute of silence. And then that way, if we suddenly lose our beautiful place of presence and peace and we want to dart, we'll be able to dart. So taking that moment to really come into your core, this is the bell that brings you to your final minute of silence as we end our practice today.